Hello, it's the third. In this tutorial, I will be going over the zip function in Python. At the end, I will also be applying this to a CodeWars problem to show how it works in a more practical sense. First off, to understand what it is, the zip function will group up elements from two or more iterables. An iterable is a list, tuple, sets, so on. From the first item, it will pair the items inside the iterables together, such that the end result will be the length of the shortest iterable. So if one list has 3 objects, or 3 items, and the next list has 4, the total length will be 3 as that is the shortest. The end result is a zip object which, when you iterate over it, will automatically create tuples with the paired items. Now, you might not want tuples, and in that case, you can use typecasting to change the zipped object into whatever iterable you want. To show that, I have Python open up here, and this will create a list of tuples. And I have 2 lists, A and B. A contains these 3 and B contains these 4. Now remember, it's going to be as long as the shortest, which means only John, Charles and Mike can be paired up with Jenny, Christy and Monica, excluding Vicky because there's no 4th one over here. So first, we want to create a variable. In this case, I'm just going to call it x. Now x will have a zip AB. This creates a zip function between A and B. It will connect A and B together. So it will go from the very first 1 1, or in Python it's 0 0 1 1 2 2. So it will pair up these two, John and Jenny, Charles and Christy, Mike and Monica. Then it will put them in a list by using this list function here. And you can see that if I run the program and you ignore everything else, I'll get to that in a moment. If I run the program, you can see as class list. However, if I do this, remove the type and I just print out x, you can see it has a list, that's the square brackets, and has tuples, 1 tuple, 2 tuple, 3 tuples. Now you might not always want a list of tuples, and there are other ways to do it, so I will show that right now. Over here you can create a list of lists, same setup, A, B, same length, same stuff. However, this time when we assign x to the zip function, we just do zip AB, so it zips them together. And that's because over here this makes the list. And if you don't really know about this line of code, this line is equivalent. These two, they do the same exact thing. It's just this is a lot easier to read and it's more beginner friendly. Now of course you can do lists like this, and the program will still run, there will be no errors. However, you cannot do this in place of these square brackets. It wouldn't work. You can see there's an error over here. Now to quickly explain how this works, it's basically what you see over here, just all condensed down. So first you have a variable, x as lists. Then you iterate every pair. This pair refers to this and this. That is one pair. John and Jenny is one pair. Charles and Christy is one pair. Mike and Monica is another pair. So for every pair in x, because remember x is the zip, so the zip has 3 pairs, and in every pair of those 3 pairs, you'll create a list using those pairs. Let me explain it slightly differently. This zip function has 3 pairs, and you iterate through 1, 2, 3. And every time you meet one, so let's say the very first one, you'll create that pair into a list. And that's what this does. This creates a list out of 1 pair. And you iterate it for however many pairs there are. So you have 1, 2, 3 pairs. And these square brackets over here will put a list in around them. So it'll be a list of lists. 1 list, and in those lists you have 3 lists. And you can see when I run the code. If you look over here, the class is still list, and you would have a list of lists with John, Jenny, Charles, Christy, Mike, Monica, just as we expected. Now, if you want to do a set of lists, you can't actually do that. The reason is complicated, but it's the idea that lists can change in size and it would be hard to find where the item is, that kind of thing. For the purposes of a program, you don't really need to know the specifics. It's something to do with hashing, but you know that sets and lists cannot match like that. You can do sets and tuples, so sets of tuples. The layup is exactly the same. This creates a list of tuples over here, and you want it into a set of tuples instead. So what you do is you get LST, which is each individual pair is just list. I had to think of something else that's not pair. And so you get in everything of this variable here, and you apply a set tuple to it. So for every object, you're going to make it down to a tuple. So this will create 3 tuples. And then at the very end of it, you'll create a set, and that will finish off as a set of tuples. And if I print it out, you can see class set, class list. That refers to these 2 print statements over here. Then you can see it's a set of tuples like that. Now, this is quite a simplified thing. You can have 3 dictionary objects. That's kind of complicated because if you know something about dictionaries, you know they have a key value pair. So to have 3 lists as part of a dictionary, you need to have 1 key, then the pair would have to be 2 separate lists. I will go over that in another video, but this would give a nice foundation to it. So the setup is exactly the same. You create A, B. However, you then create a dictionary. Now, just like with the lists, this zip object function will now be put into a dictionary, which means AB would be assigned to a key value pair. Whichever comes first is the key. And you can see that with this for loop over here. So if I go down, you can see the class is a dictionary. And you can see this is what the X has. I'm just printing out X, and this is a key value. Now over here, John, Charles, Mike, this only prints out the key. So for every key value in x.items refers to the dictionary. So for everything in the dictionary, every key value in the dictionary, you print out key. And this is just to get a new line. Now, if you could do the same with values, and you can see that over here, all of these are just the values. And of course, you can do it with both. So it'll be key value, like so. And below is another way you can format it. It's exactly the same, it's just a lot neater. What I did was I made the length of this as the maximum length. So just to give an understanding, just to make it all equal like this, that's the code that you use. So when you iterate over it, you just put this key.l blah blah blah, and that will create the key to be a certain length. It has to be this length, and that is based on this, because this is the longest, and then the value afterwards. But that is it for understanding the theory of zip functions. I will now go into a CodeWars problem just to show you how it works in a more practical sense.